juniors were upstaged by the movement of some veterans. Michael?
Blockbuster. Don't think video, think trade in one of the biggest draft day deals in years. Early in the first round this evening, the focus shifted from future stars to current stars, with the Maple Leafs and Nordiques completing a huge 6-player deal. We'll get to the draft choices in a moment, but first of all, the deal.
I'd like to announce the following trade between Quebec and Toronto. Quebec trades to Toronto the 10th pick in the 1994 entry draft, which it received from Philadelphia, the rights to Matt Sundin, Todd Warringer, and Garth Butcher in exchange for Toronto's 22nd pick in the draft, the rights to Wendel Clark, Sylvain Lefebvre, and the rights to Landon Wilson.
A few words that shocked those in attendance and hockey fans all over North America, especially in Toronto. The Leafs gave up their captain, their leader, and a man they drafted first overall in 1985. Clark came off his best season in Toronto, scoring 46 goals despite missing almost 20 games due to a foot injury. Also going to Quebec, the ever-steady Sylvain Lefebvre, a rear guard who led the Leafs in plus-minus this year. Quebec also received Landon Wilson, a Maple Leaf first-round pick in 1993. In return, the Nordiques gave up Matt Sundin, a talented center who was drafted first overall in 1989. Sundin is still just 23 and is coming off a season in which he scored 32 goals, had 85 points. That was down from his previous 114. Also, going to Toronto, defenseman Garth Butcher and forward Todd Warringer, the 4th pick overall in 1992. But the Maple Leafs did not stop there, and they traded that Quebec draft pick to Washington for another swap of first-rounders and received Mike Ridley.
This is hockey, and that's the way it is. Feelings, you got to put them aside. I like Wendel as a person, as a player. It was good, but I think it was time that decisions had to be made, and I guess they made them. And I guess with Matt Sundin's a good skill player now. Don't forget that. And then when we pick up a guy like Mike Ridley, also from Washington.
Did you ever have any inkling that something like this might happen?
I had a feeling there'd be a trade. I could have had that feeling every year now for the last 5 years, the way it's been around here. So I'm not shocked. But I'll miss Toronto. It's a great city, so I'll miss all the people, but I'll have more to say in a couple days about that.
Not to be forgotten, of course, was the draft and the top prospects involved. Florida had the first pick and made this selection.
And I am proud and privileged to announce that the Florida Panthers picked Ed Jovanovski.
Ed Jovanovski is 6'2", 205, and is a Scott Stevens type of defenseman. Although the former Windsor Spitfires defenseman should be ready to play in the NHL next season, Florida understands that he is a few years away from developing into a premier player. Number 2 belonged to Anaheim, and they selected Russian defenseman Oleg Tverdovsky. The slick skating point man impressed all who saw him at the Worlds during Christmas and should become a quarterback on the Ducks power play.
With our first selection today, we're very pleased to select from Czechoslovakia, Radek Bonk.
Many figured that Radek Bonk would go number 1. Instead, he's the Ottawa Senators' property, and he joins a very talented group of centers. Bonk had a great year in the IHL this past season, scoring 42 goals and getting more than 200 minutes in penalties. The Edmonton Oilers drafted 4th, and they selected Jason Bonsignor, a talented 6'4" center from Rochester, New York. Bonsignor started the season poorly, but picked up his game and his stats when he was traded from Newmarket to Niagara Falls of the OHL. The Hartford Whalers owned the 5th pick, and they selected Jeff O'Neill from the Guelph Storm. O'Neill is a goal scorer and an even better playmaker, amassing 126 points in 66 games last season. 16th, and following the advice of their head scout, the late Pierre Dorian, drafted goaltender Eric Fichot from the Quebec League.